US immigration authorities created fake universities, lured foreign-born students to enroll, and then took large sums of their money before arresting and deporting them for immigration violations, according to a new report. And in recent months, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has deported 90 students enrolled in a fake Michigan-based university. And as many as 250 people, mostly from India, have been arrested since January as part of the sting operation, which, according to the story, was concocted by federal agents. And the scammed students had arrived in the US legally on student visas, but when those were about to expire, they sought to extend them by enrolling in the University of Farmington, which was later revealed to be fake and front operated by ICE. I would say it's front operated by another 3-letter entity. And while the story has provoked outrage, with many quick to assume that the con job was a scheme conjured up by the Trump administration, the quote-unquote university was actually incorporated in January 2016 during Barack Obama's presidency, not Mr. Trump's. Oops. And has been staffed with undercover agents pretending to be college officials ever since. I can hear many of you brains, cogs, twisting now and turning, because you've heard this before. This was covered in From Russia with Love 7, and the antics, yet again, of the CIA. They'll blame ICE, but they're just another front company. You don't think they're not involved in and with ICE, do you? Think again. Their tentacles are everywhere, and as the previous story revealed, it's not just in America either. What you got to remember is, under the Education Act since 1948, the CIA have been profiling students globally and then bringing them to America for clandestine purposes. What this reveals to me is that maybe authorities are now finally onto it and actually dealing with it. And yes, the media will cry foul. It's what they do. They're stupid. But if I'm correct, this will help those students long term immensely, because the consequences of staying there and going into the Langley-based programs were far worse than being deported, trust me. This is something I warned about early on in the year, and it's getting worse. But in the American imagination, at least, the family farm still exists, but it has been declining for generations now. And the closing days of 2019, we now find small farms that are pummeled from every side, including a trade war, severe weather associated with climate change, tanking commodity prices related to globalization, political polarization, and corporate farming defined not only by a silo and a red barn, but technology and the efficiencies of scale. And according to this report, it's the worst crisis in decades. Chapter 12 farm bankruptcies were up 12% in the Midwest from July 2018 to June 2019, and they're up 50% in the Northwest. Tens of thousands have simply stopped farming, knowing that reorganization through bankruptcy won't save them. And the nation has lost more than 1,000 farms between 2011 and 2018, and 12,000 of those between 2017 and 18 alone. Farm debt is currently at 416 billion and is at an all-time high, and more than half the farmers have lost money every year since 2013 and lost more than $1,600 this year. Further, farm loan delinquencies are rising. Suicides in farming communities are happening with an alarming frequency. Like I said, I seem to remember warning about this before. Those clowns are decimating the food crop areas with fires, flooding, or other certain disasters, as we'll call them. And because of the non-compete policy of 1976, which allows the likes of Walmart and Amazon and these other giant corporations to determine who buys and who sells and at what price, the reality is for farmers is they are forced to sell the majority of their crops to groups like Walmart at below cost levels because of that non-compete act. Walmart are forcing, and several other groups are forcing the farmers to sell their crops to them at below cost price to the farmer. And you wonder why they're all going bust. Of course, this then creates another problem and another one of their policies called scarcity, which is another word to drive prices up and fill their pockets. And if people don't believe food is being made more scarce, take a trip into your local Walmart. They're pretty much the biggest store. Their shelves are empty and have been for over 12 months now. Products that all went onto one shelf are being dispersed onto several shelves to make them look full. Go and check for yourself. Products that were all in one aisle are now spread about several aisles just to fill up the shelves. And the other supermarket brands will be no different. They're pushing all the tins to the front so it looks like all the shelf is full, but it's empty. And then you go into the electronics department. It's all filled with old stock and out-of-date models. Why? Because no one is buying them. And this is what happens, it's the Ouroboros. If you keep taking money from people here and there and everywhere, eventually they run out of money and buying their stuff. And what you end up with is a load of people buying essentials only, which is what's happening in Walmart. That's why they're downsizing from these giant superstores that sells everything to just food markets, because that's all they're selling. Apart from the jackasses going and queuing up overnight in snow and sleet and rain to get some alleged bargain tomorrow morning. Essentially, long term, that people are only buying essentials in life will actually be a good thing. So we can end this materialistic nonsense that's driving us all into a debt cycle, of which many don't come out of. But we do have the potential of a national food crisis in this country looming unless this is addressed quickly. Should the trust not be blocked, we will endeavour to fix this problem once and for all. We will grow our own. We will manufacture our own. So we don't need other countries.